6 awesome things about Norse mythology. Hey Crash, today we're going to get back into the mythological mood with 6 awesome things about Norse mythology. More specifically, the Norse creation myth and the defining factors of Norse mythology.
I learned all about Norse mythology from Marvel movies, so I'll be happy to help out during this video. Can we start with the age-long battle waged by Thor and the other Avengers?
See people, this is why I'm the informative one.
Sheesh, fine. Let's talk about that one time Thor was the assistant to the female Ghostbusters.
Okay, now you're just talking about the actor, Chris Hemsworth.
No, the actor you're thinking of is called Liam Hemsworth. I'm talking about Thor.
They're both actors, they're brothers.
That's Loki, not Liam. I'm starting to think you're not as smart as I thought.
Anyway, Norse mythology was a belief system carried by people living in Northern Europe, including, most notably, the Vikings. Many of their beliefs fueled a desire for honor via a victory in war, which enabled them to retaliate against the encroaching Christian belief system. But we all know how that ended up. As a result, much of Norse mythology was later influenced by Christian ideals that corrupted its original meaning and made understanding Norse mythology far more difficult for historians. Most of what we currently accept as canonical Norse mythology comes from the Poetic Edda, a collection of Norse poems from anonymous authors. As such, there are many different interpretations, so what I present here is just one interpretation.
In other words, don't bother commenting about how wrong we are, unless we're really wrong, in which case, fire away. Oh, and feel free to make fun of culture for pronouncing everything incorrectly.
Thanks for that. Well, let's jump into it. Number 1. The Germanic people believed that the cosmos could be thought of as a tree known as Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil may seem like a weird name, but it really just means the ash tree of the house of Ygr, where Ygr is an alternate name for the Norse god Odin. The tree was fed by the Well of Erd, aka the Well of Destiny, the water from which flowed through Yggdrasil, and was returned to the well when Yggdrasil's leaves shed dew. These two structures were a metaphorical way for the Germanic people to think of the flow of time. The well is the past, which affects Yggdrasil, the present, thus forming what we could think of as destiny. However, contrary to most Christian beliefs, the present could also affect the past, as symbolized by the dew of Yggdrasil. In this way, time was cyclical, a motif repeated through the rest of Norse mythology as well.
The only thing cyclical about life, feel free to make fun of culture for pronouncing everything incorrectly. Cyclical. The only thing cyclical about life is that culture will always give me shit. And then I'll give it back tenfold by taking a dump on him.
Guys, he means that. He once actually took a dump on me. I was asleep, an unwilling participant in his literal shit show.
Well, not a literal shit show.
Well, you live streamed it, so yes, a literal shit show.
I live streamed it while I live steamed it.
Ugh, you suck. In ancient Germanic languages, there's no true future tense. Instead, they had verbs of intention, and English retained this quality. We say things like, I will, which isn't actually an action in the future, but a plan to do something in the future. This most likely derived from this cyclical idea of time which the Germanic people held. Number 2. In the branches and roots of Yggdrasil, there exist the 9 worlds. These worlds house all the inhabitants of the cosmos, whose roles, powers, and numbers greatly vary. Give me a second to reel off the identity of all 9 worlds. Midgard, the world of humanity. Asgard, the world of the Aesir tribe of gods. Vanaheim, the world of the Vanir tribe of gods. Jotunheim, the world of the giants. Niflheim, the world of ice. Muspelheim, the world of fire. Elfheim, the world of elves. Svartalfheim, the world of the dwarves. And Hel, world of the dead. Whew, that was a mouthful.
Heard that one before.
Crash, please. The worlds weren't necessarily all physical, but instead overlapped. Midgard, our domain, was believed to be physical, whereas the other invisible worlds would manifest themselves in Midgard. For example, hot and cold were the result of Muspelheim and Niflheim overlapping, and the mountains were manifestations of Jotunheim, the world of the giants. Number 3. But the giants weren't creatures like the ones we would picture nowadays, beings of large stature and build. The term giants is actually a crude anglicization of the original word, which more closely means something like devourers. Whichever word you use, the giants were agents of chaos. Collectively, they belonged to the Utengard, which means beyond the enclosure, and it was their raw power and destructive intent which constantly threatened the existence of the cosmos.
Now they sound like my kind of guys. I'm constantly on the brink of destroying the world with my awesome powers. I even have followers online now.
Is that so?
Yep. Every time I post pictures of myself or make a post on a forum, they spam replies to me. They even call me their lord.
Yeah, well, last time I checked, all the replies were asking you to drink bleach, and they were downvoting you. And by the way, they weren't calling you their lord, they were calling you an edgelord.
Same difference. Haters gonna hate.
Well, unlike you, the giants had real power and commanded respect. See, the giants weren't evil. The Germanic people didn't hold the Christian belief of good and evil, but rather had one of order and chaos. In fact, the gods actually descended from giants. Nevertheless, the gods' duty is to keep the giants restrained. Two such giants are Fenrir and Nidhogg. Nidhogg, aka he who strikes with malice, is a serpentine dragon who dwells beneath Yggdrasil. Nidhogg chews at the roots of the tree and threatens the existence of the very cosmos from an outside position. Fenrir, on the other hand, aka he who dwells in the marshes, is a wolf-like beast who was born from Loki and Angerboda. Fenrir is the giant who poses the greatest risk to order, and as such he is constantly kept under check by the Aesir tribe of gods. Number 4. The two tribes of gods consist of the Aesir and the Vanir. The Vanir tribe is not well explained by the literature which has survived, but the Aesir tribe is much better characterized. This tribe contains most of the gods that people would know, Thor, Loki, etc. Odin, the All-Father, was usually described as the chief of these gods, but another god, Tyr, was also known as the chief in earlier texts.
The All-Daddy.
What?
That's what they call Odin on Tumblr. The All-Daddy.
Of course they do. And what relevance does this have?
Nothing. I'm just saying, you know? Have you ever heard me saying All-Daddy late at night? I was just talking to Tumblr friends, okay?
God, you're weird. Aesir is a play on words of two Proto-Germanic words, Anzaz, meaning pole, beam, or rafter, and Ansuz, meaning life or vitality. One can think of these gods as those who hold up the principle of order, also known as the Innenguard, or within the enclosure. In addition, they also personify many of the elements of nature and hold other roles, but we might have to discuss that another time.
Give me your winks, All-Daddy.
What?
Nothing!
Number 5. Another key part of Germanic culture is Valhalla, the Hall of the Fallen. One could think of Valhalla as the Norse equivalent of heaven, but this isn't quite accurate. When someone died in battle, they would be taken up to Valhalla as a reward for their bravery. Maybe. While some scholars state that it was merely enough to die in battle, others state that Odin only chose the most proficient and deserving warriors to join him in Valhalla. Those who were accepted into Valhalla, known as the Einherjar, were greeted with a hall made from weapons. Rafters were spears and seats were breastplates, which doesn't exactly sound comfortable.
I can think of less comfortable things to sit on.
What is up with you today?
The fan fictions are getting to me, that's all. Please, continue.
Once within Valhalla, the warriors would fight every day, and upon settling down to rest, would find all of their wounds healed. A feast would await them so that they could refuel and repeat the process every day. While this may sound like a lot of hard work to us, this was the greatest of rewards to warring people such as the Vikings. Valhalla was thought to be located either in Asgard itself, along with Odin, or even in the ground and hills, similar to the underworld.
So they would just do that ad nauseum forever? Did they ever just get to I don't know, rest?
Thing is that they had to fight to keep their skills sharp for the approaching war. When the giants finally break loose, they will cause the destruction of the world, unless Odin and the Einherjar defeat them. However, quite morbidly, the end of the world has already been prophesized, no matter what this army does. Number 6. The end of the world and its rebirth in Norse mythology are known as Ragnarok. Ragnarok technically means the doom of the gods, but as we'll see, this isn't quite correct. The beginning of the end occurs when the first of many world-ending prophecies is realized. Loki kills the most loved and admired of the gods, Baldur. Sensing danger, Odin calls together his Einherjar, despite knowing he is facing certain defeat. In Midgard, 3 winters in a row have occurred, known as Fimbulwinter, because the people have abandoned their kinship and descended into nihilism. This is further worsened by the gods breaking oaths and failing to fulfill their duties. Loki and his son Fenrir, the giant we spoke about earlier, break free from their imprisonment and mount an assault on Asgard. And Crash, I swear if you make a joke about the fact I said mount.
No, don't be ridiculous. I was thinking whether Fenrir counts as a furry or not.
Anyway, Loki and Fenrir succeed in destroying Asgard. Fenrir unleashes his fury upon the world by running with his top jaw against the sky and his lower jaw dragging along the ground, ingesting everything in the world, including the sun.
With a mouth that big he could.
Crash, come on. Another giant known as Surt swings his large flaming sword along the earth and turns it into a fiery inferno. Nevertheless, the gods fight through this and manage to slay Loki and Surt. Thor and many other gods die, leaving just Odin, Tyr, Fenrir, and Odin's son, Vidar. Fenrir slays the two most prominent gods, but Vidar manages to avenge them. Upon doing so, the earth sinks back into the sea, quenching the flames and forming an anti-cosmic void of nothingness, known as Gnungaga.
I'm a sucker for happy endings. It's no wonder the Germanic people descended into nihilism in the story.
While it's not all doom and gloom, an essential part of Ragnarok is the rebirth of the world. Baldur, that god I told you about before who everyone adores, returns from the underworld and raises the land up with him. His brilliance causes the land to explode into a lush green environment and rebirth animals, with the other gods following shortly after. So they didn't really die, they just kind of took a nap.
Wait, what about the Einherjar?
Oh no, I think they're actually dead.
Well, that sucks. So the gods just kind of used us for their little play war with the giants? Fantastic. Well, I guess at least the giants are gone.
Well, actually, no. The giants do come back as well. After all, this is a cyclical story.
God damn it, I hate these gods!
Hey, they're not all bad. They do plenty of awesome things when the world is in existence. But I guess I'll have to tell you about them in another episode.
Another cliffhanger? Do you have some kind of sick fetish for keeping people in suspense?
You saying I have a sick fetish? Okay, now that's rich.
Oh, what? Sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you believe they don't make Fenrir body pillows? What is this world coming to?
Ugh. See you guys next time.
Follow CultureCrash on social media. Like and subscribe for more.